Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Dang.
Is this still the same YouTube link?
You know, it's gonna start a whole new.
It's a new one. Okay.
I don't know why the sound isn't playing on YouTube Player. I guess we just play all kinds of games. We just go play games. They play. Why wouldn't it? Oh boy, this is funny. Look at that. Oh wow. Everybody. So we just starting the after party. And this is the First Lady Erica. We just got through doing the release of the first sex tape, y'all. The first sex tape with Terry. It was the first day we met and we put her on out there. And we had a good time talking. And this was a while ago. So this was almost a month ago. So it's really cool to be able to kind of look back at our conversation. And everybody, we got Terry Smith, we got Jonathan Bailey, we got Marvel Bliss hiding behind that beautiful picture, and Dab Brad or Astro Dab.
What's up?
I just gotta lighten myself up because I'm a little bit disturbed. I don't know what to think about it. Okay. I'm like, how do we make this fun? Because I get really pissed off about some stuff sometimes. But so you're looking back at
rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah, because my son's 16, so I've always, you know, when I saw the Barbie teacher, there was that lady, the Mary Lou Letourneau, and you know, I was just telling everybody, like, Mary Lou Letourneau, I think she had sex with this boy when he was 12, got pregnant, went to jail, came out, got pregnant again, and in their adult lives, they actually had the nerve to have DJ parties called Hot for Teacher. And I was like, this is by no means cute. This is further telling people or encouraging it, like this is a thing to do. And sometimes people might think that for a boy, it's like they're so lucky that they have sex with an older woman. But I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people I know had sex between 10 and 12, 10, 12, and 14 with someone that their mom knew or someone that worked at the school. And I was gonna open it up and let Jonathan, because you weren't there that day, go ahead, because I think you had something to say about that.
Well, yeah, so back in high school, back in school, you know, I had friends that were, you know, 9 years old, fooling around with ladies. They don't even know what's literally going on, but it was like, oh, that I saw this on this video or this, so I mean, I could try to make it work, sort of thing. You know, and then, you know, we in high school we created a group, and it was about trying to see how many girls we can connect with, and there was quite a few guys that actually were with some of the teachers as well.
Oh, wow.
And then vice versa. Then there was male teachers. That was one male teacher that was actually fooling around with twins and her sister, supposedly. So I mean, there's so much that was just so over the top and so wrong. Seeing it going through the journey and then perceiving what literally was going on in the school, um, you know, and
They actually make it something that, there's lots of porn with that, the teacher and the coach. There's lots of movies with that, where they're kind of putting it out like the after school special type movies. One of those after school specials, it was the lady from American Horror Stories. You guys know her name. It doesn't really matter. It's the lady from American Horror Stories, and she's at the playground, and she's sitting at the table, and a grown-up male tries to talk to her, and he's, pretty much trying to give her some type of vibe. And there's a little boy playing on the playland, and when the little boy comes back, they sip a drink and talk, and she was just really concerned about his feelings. Like, did you like it? Are you having fun? And he was like, yeah, but next time, can we just go back to your house and fuck? That's what he said. It was a 10-year-old boy. They actually had like a whole little show. And that was the language. That's what was going on. It's Sarah Paulson. And so people have called her out for being a Hollywood witch and some more stuff because of the kind of roles that she plays is so weird. But this also makes me think about during let's say during the medical Holocaust, because we don't even want to say that. I caught myself really good, right?
You caught yourself. You got yourself.
During the medical Holocaust,
I like that.
Yeah.
Some teachers were, their kids were going online on Zoom to talk, but some people were advised that their parents didn't need to be there. And so you get to thinking, well, why don't I need to be there? Because what are you saying to my kids that I shouldn't be there? Now, I've actually, for my son, and then I babysat my neighbor's son, what I caught was more like a negativity, like teachers yelling at students or being like overly strict, because the little boy had his laptop on his lap, and she was like, stop. And I was like, bitch, you need to calm down, okay? Like he's in the, he was in the fourth grade, you probably tone it down. I busted the other lady with writing in all caps and pretty much like yelling at the kids and keep your camera on. And it was like a little bit over the top. But then what else are people doing?
Right.
Where they don't want your parents in the room, And it goes back to this thing of why are they wanting to teach fifth graders about fisting? You guys know about that, right?
Wait, what did you just say? What?
So like some new health books out in California.
You're lying. No.
They want to teach kids about nocturnal emissions and pleasure and how to masturbate. And
How old are they?
it was intended as elementary school books.
So you said grade 5.
I don't know if you need to know about fisting in high school either. I don't know. I mean, when do you need to know about fisting? That's when you hardcore in the streets. You know what I'm saying? That's not no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, if you're into some male prostitution or something, or like, what are we doing with fisting? I actually had a transgender person like really in my face when I mentioned this on my Facebook page, and he was like, well, it can be very pleasurable. I said, you think you fucking being funny with me, and I'm not playing with you. So you need to get the fuck off my page. So this was somebody that I was nice to and talking to, but I was like, now you're going too far. And so I have some other people, I'm pretty broad and general in my friendships that were just saying how, well, kids need to know. Well, my son is about 16. When he was about 13, I would ask him certain questions, and he was like, I don't want to talk about this, and I don't want to know it. So just because that's something that's in your head doesn't mean that you need to nationalize it and standardize it, because all kids are different. a lot of kids really don't want to know something about sex, but all of a sudden, elementary school, we want to talk about what happens, when you're fisting.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, I just pops in my mind that I was just down in New Brunswick visiting a buddy, and they brought in a certain specialist to talk about it's LGBT, LMNOP, let's call it. Um, and so essentially, they were saying because you spend most of your time hanging out with boys, that you're gay, sort of thing. Or if you're a girl, and they're literally 9 or 10 years old, right?
so
And
nine, nine or
that's just
10
being
year
a kid.
old
That's just being a kid,
came
right?
home and he went to his father and
Yep.
said, what did he say?
I'm gay, Dad. I need the rainbow shirt. I need to change up my wardrobe because this is what they told me at school. Because I don't hang around with girls, so I must be gay. So, I mean, once those thought forms, that's literally black magic that they're slinging at all these children, you know, and telling the parents that they don't have to be there. Okay, that's the red alert. That's all the alarms are going off. Every single one.
Yeah, they call that grooming, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This is straight up programming. So this is more than grooming. This is more like programming. So Lindo is coming into the room because I'm triggered now, fully triggered. And I'm like, I need to talk to Lindo because I saw him in the chat and I saw what his wife said in the chat. And I'm like, I just bust into tears. I had to turn my camera off because I could not freaking believe. I don't know. It's not like I can't believe it, but your story is a little bit more extreme, Lindo, than I've heard before. And I'm asking, like, if you want to actually share that, what happened?
I have to step out of this shit.
You can hear me?
Hold on. I'm gonna have to come out and back in. Hold on a minute. Shit's
No
fucking
problem.
up.
No problem. So in the chat, Linda's wife, I guess they all went to the same school and she actually witnessed it herself as a female student, witnessed that. Dab, you were pretty young too, but that was not a teacher? Was it someone your own age? Dab? We got Linda. He might have some bad signal out there. I don't know.
Yeah, my signal's good.
Oh, okay. So you were pretty much dating people your own age, even though you were 14, though, right?
So yes, pretty much because of how I was raised in the schooling. But there was older women that would try to because I looked young at a very young age. I looked young even when I was older. So there was older women that would try to, holler at me or whatever. And
I can.
I've actually had my opportunity when I was 18, but nothing like when I was younger. Nothing. There was nothing at the younger. I stayed with pretty much my age group, I guess.
Right. Right. Okay. So I remember the first boy the boy that I was talking about, that first boy that I dated, I guess he started when he was about 12 and it was with someone his mom knew, but his continued life was more people his age. But then again, that's just the part that I know because we only dated for a certain amount of time in high school. So goodness only knows. But for Lyndall, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. I was floored with your story, and I don't know if you want to like just repeat it.
Yeah, sure. So, okay, I was chilling with Mr. Moretz, God rest his soul. He passed away this last weekend. He was my social studies and psychology teacher. I'd always hang out with him and chill with him in his office area during lunch. And he asked me to take back some trays and dishes back, to the lunchroom. And he said, just go ahead and walk it on back to the dishwasher. Don't worry about giving it to the ladies. You go straight to the dishwasher. Be respectable, right? I was like, okay, cool. So as I was doing that, my math teacher and a computer teacher, who are both younger, blonde-headed teachers who think that their shit don't stink, pretty much, and they're just sitting there talking away, chitter-chatting as I'm approaching them, right? And I go to try and sneak by them, and lo and behold, Miss Setzer pins me up against the wall of the doorway into the back where the dishwasher is, and she pins me up against that wall with her ass.
Mm.
And I'm looking at Miss Pinkleton, the computer teacher, like, what the fuck? And I even said, what the fuck is going on? And then Setzer looked back at me like, what the hell? Like, looking at me, she didn't say what the hell, but she looked at me like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah. And then that was about it, really. After that, I always tried to stay away from her. I mean, even though she was my teacher and I had to be, still go to her for class. But that was it pretty much.
Okay.
And
So if you were one of those youngsters that was, enticed by that, I'm sure she would have took up the challenge. Because sometimes, like as younger people, you got the ones that are kind of brave. Like I remember being an adult and having 15, 16-year-olds talk to me, and you pretty much got to just really be firm in your values and beliefs, because they will come at you like very, very strong. But you also know, like, I'm a grown woman. Like, what am I, like, no.
Yeah.
But
You're my teacher, bitch. Get off me. Seriously. No, that's just wrong. And I think, I don't know how many years later it was, but she got caught. She got caught, and it was a big old thing and all kinds of things. She lost her job, everything. And that's not the only teacher at my school that is a fucking pedophile. So
I think what people don't know is like P-word people.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. You're talking about your life. P-word people are really good at this. They go get jobs where they can hunt.
Oh, yes.
Jobs at daycares and at swimming pools and at Disney and at, Funland. And that's where they go. Mm-hmm. They go where they can go vamp. And they go where they can go hunt. And they go where, this is, I guess, it'd be like, if you were trying to go farm, you go farm where you can get the best water and the best soil, right? So what you do. I'm glad you made it. Hey, oh my God, look at that sexy woman. That bitch ain't had nothing on you, girl. Sexy Sheena. I'm
Shanae.
so glad.
Shanae.
It's Shanae.
Yeah.
Shanae. Okay, I'm Shay, and you're Shanae. I can
Shanae.
C-H-E, so it's Shay. And my brother used to call me Chi, like cheese. And he's Hey, oh my God, you're so gorgeous. I'm loving like your cheekbones and your
She
hair.
is.
You must have knew you were coming on here today. Why y'all looking all sexy and fabulous like y'all going somewhere? Y'all going somewhere? What y'all doing?
No,
I think they always look
I'm
like
in my
that.
work clothes.
That's your work clothes. You looking like you.
I smell like old grease.
Yes, it stinks.
Oh my God. If she still love
She
you,
loves
keep
it.
you stink, you better not go nowhere because
I got to take a shower still.
So Sheena, you witnessed those things too, or Shanae, y'all, you witnessed those things too.
Yeah, she was one of my teachers, and that class was always so weird feeling. Like there was a lot of guys in that class who did sports and stuff like that, and there was probably maybe like 3, 4 girls, including me, in that class, and I don't know, you could just feel it. Like she would just love the attention from like just males in general, I guess. And it was weird. And that was like way before we ever.
She would favoritize them.
Right. So I was gonna ask, did she treat the female students worse? Or was she, like snappy, sarcastic, or belittling,
Oh yeah.
condescending?
Yes, I've seen it myself. Yeah.
I would say the girls didn't even exist in that class. Pretty
So
much.
how old were you?
That's a personal question. I don't know.
Oh,
about that.
okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know, we was at-
We're 30. We're 30.
No. How old were you in the class
Oh, in the class. Oh,
Yeah.
Um,
at that time? What grade were you in?
16, maybe 17.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a week apart, by the way.
Oh wow.
And we went obviously to the same school and everything.
Childhood sweethearts.
So
Yeah.
It's a little deeper than that.
Yeah.
did you also say that some of the
Soulmates.
male teachers were too? Like, or was it more so that you guys saw the female teachers, or?
Well, yeah, there was another one, Miss Pickleton, but she never really got caught. And I think there was another one, Miss Turner.
I wonder if the male student or the male teachers.
Oh, yeah,
knew.
the males guys, too. Yeah. Oh, God. There's that one dude. What was his name? I can't remember his name. But anywho, he had a foreign exchange student. Her name was Gloria. And where was she from? She was friends with Gloria. We just talked about this not too long ago. Where was she from? Was it France?
Sweden, I think.
Sweden. Okay.
Something like that.
But anyway, she was a foreign exchange student. And, we would see her, I had several classes with her. I was always there to witness her and stuff. She couldn't really talk English very well. Sorry, I'm not holding the camera very well, but
It's okay.
bit.
Get it all over the place.
But anyway, all of a sudden she just disappears, and like whatever happened to her. And after we graduated about 6 years later, that guy got in trouble with being a pedophile, and Shanae specifically, I think, remembers her talking about, it was very uncomfortable there at that house living with that dude, because he was her legal guardian in the United States, watching over her while she's here, being a foreign exchange student. And I don't know whatever happened to her. I have no clue, and neither does Shanae. But it's just kind of weird, and I'm sure it doesn't stop there in my little ass hick town.
Right. Because it's so normal.
I don't like it.
It just makes me, we were having this conversation about grooming. I don't know if Jonathan, if you wanted to talk more about that. Because a part of this was going to be a different conversation, but I think it's so valid right now.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this. Oh my God, you guys are so beautiful. And with your little greasy, messed up hair, you still cool like Wolverine and looking good. And your wife, Shanae, is beautiful. And I'm so glad that you guys really like have the courage, because a lot of people, you know, these things happen, male and female. A lot of males don't know that it's wrong. They think that it's cute and it's fun and it's friendly, and it's like, no, it stunts your growth and, you know, ruins relationships. Like a lot of people wondering why they can't be in balanced relationships, but these are the kind
Yeah,
of things.
because you're hiding your secrets. You need to speak about it with your partner.
And this stuff stunts your growth and makes you a little bit weird, even if you don't know it. Like it gives you it hypersexualizes people, and you wonder why like people can't have good relationships, because you know they've been taught things by these women. I've had a friend that told me, you know, an older woman taught them how to have oral sex, and I'm like, if you put a 12 or 14-year-old's mouth on you, that is to me pretty fucked up.
Ugh.
Because you're just grown, greedy, and selfish as fuck. So, and I can't even put it no other way. But I don't know if you wanted to stay in the room for the rest, but I for sure wanted you to join us for this part so that you could tell people, because when I saw that in the chat, I busted out crying. I was like, no, that's what Melinda, no, they just, you know, but you made it, so I'm glad you made it. Oh God.
I made it past more than that. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to be a male model, and I went to the gay side of Chicago, and that's where my agent was. He was gay. I love him. He's an awesome dude. I still love him. And I'm glad that it's, 7 years later, because now I can finally talk about anything on YouTube and present my face on the camera after 7 years, because I signed a contract with him. So
Oh, wow.
It's gone. It's gone now, motherfucker. Anyway.
Well, you look like a model. You low key be trying to play us. All right. Wolverine. But I don't know, if you want to stay in the room, you can.
I'll stay. I'll just hang back.
Okay. Well, Jonathan, I just wanted you to go ahead and say what you had to say, because I know you had something that you wanted to say.
Oh, which angle?
On the grooming aspect, maybe. I don't know if that's what you. This was supposed to be like a fun hype.
Right. I mean,
fun. We're gonna talk about some stuff, because I couldn't let that slide. I couldn't let it slide.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, like we were saying, it's like you were saying that the kids that are around, 12 and 14 and 10, they're having these situations of sexual experiences with the older. But then there's the other aspect of that. If it's not sexual, then you have people that come in and try to inflict pain or control, and to negate the emotional process of children, of kids, right? I when I was 11, 12, I had a person come into my life and was playing games of, what was it called, the Indian burn, and then it was like, oh, take the lighter and see how much pain you could take, how much whipping, etc. And they would make a game, and they're so uh, they're so smooth with how they engage and talk about and how they create these things. As you know, your older brother can come in the room and walk by, and they can play it off, and they wouldn't even think about it, sort of thing. And that was going on for 2 years, and then, or close to 2 years. And as well, there was, they incorporate it with like playing video games. If you lose in GoldenEye, 007, then you get lashes, sort of thing, right? Um, and then, you know, if there was something that happens in your family, and then, you know, then again, they'd be tell you to repress and don't show the emotion, don't show the pain, and keep it within, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that you know, that was my 12 years old, and even before that, it was like, you know, you had, and at, you know, 5 years old, there was situations that kind of goes into the grooming, but it's not per se the physical abuse, but it was more of, you know, it was more voodoo, and it was aligned with this whole construct of that engagement at 12 years old. So I mean, the way it unfolds and the way kids are targeted is beyond what you can even perceive, right? And think it's possible.
It is. And
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you all some things. So for me, there's some things that I knew that I shouldn't know because I have older brothers, and, you know, very much so, I would go peek and look through their stuff. My brothers never did a thing to me. They were just older, and they had, you know, their personal effects were very interesting. And I would dig through their stuff. I don't even know if my brother knows that. But when we moved away from my other brothers and sisters, and I was in full custody of my adopted parents, there was a lady who was a friend of the family, and her daughter would watch me, and she stripped me. She said, wait a minute. She had biology class and she needed my help. See how that works? And this is how those things like what Jonathan is talking about, because it's like, oh, and I need your help. And she took off all my clothes and she looked at my anatomy. And so her first beginning explanation was my anatomy. I had been around so many young women, adult women, like, hey, I'm about between 5 and 8. She wasn't the only female that did that. Like, I had a neighbor that did that. Like, I knew what boobs look like. I knew what genital hair looks like. Like, this one girl, she just explained to me, like, this is what's going to happen to you when you get older. You're going to have this, and that. And it was like just some stuff that I didn't need to know. Now, that young lady that babysat me, she did, and I'm not going to tell anybody else's stories, only my own, but she did force me to do oral on her before. And I'm no more than 6, somewhere between 5, 6, 7. And I remember where we lived, people would just say things through the window to kids like, must be jelly because jam don't shape like that. And it was a culture that even when I was in elementary school, I remember a boy, I don't know why, but I had these kids that were in my class that were way older than they should be. And they would send you letters, notes, asking for sex. Some kids were already having sex when I was in the 5th grade. And I had one guy, I could tell you what his name was right now, and it would shame the shit out of him, that he pulled his penis out in class. So sometimes, like, we don't know why our kids are uncomfortable in school. And I'm very glad, I'll just say this, I'm like very glad to have my son at home. But even before that, because I know that it doesn't matter whether it's friends, family, babysitter, teacher, you have to keep your eyes on everybody. You can't trust anybody when it comes to your kids. And my sister would tell you the same thing. She doesn't sleep. If she's babysitting and there's a person in this house besides her and that child, she says she can't even sleep because we can't afford to slip and say, well, I didn't know after the fact. But I think we really have to teach our kids the opposite of what people are teaching, because a lot of people are trying to teach kids how to have sex. Instead, we need to be teaching our kids how to not get molested. It's funny how they got sex education class, but they don't have the class called Just Say No or how to keep your private parts safe. And that is the problem. And it's kind of like this abortion problem thing that people are making it like the abortion part is the problem. But you're saying that abortion is necessary and a right because people get raped or they have sex. Yeah, if anytime someone's having sex with you and you didn't really want to have it, that they need to be able to have abortions because of sexual assault. When a better answer would be, you should have better laws, a better legal system for people to protect them when they get abused, and have better penalties. Because you see kids that, you know, an infant was molested and the man gets 2 years and they get treated like, oh, he has a mental illness, or, oh, you know, all these excuses for why that person did that. I don't know if changing those laws is going to stop it, but I just think that's the bigger issue. The issue really isn't abortion. The issue really is more, you know, if you're going to dangle the excuse of sexual assault, what do you think about that, Terry?
Well, one of the first things I would say is anybody who's been caught for sexual assault, it's not their first time. It's a pat. They finally got caught. And I know, I can tell you from just some of the people that I've worked with, a lot of the problems arise within the family. And so there's a lot of stuff that happens to people from family members. So I know, I remember one lady that I that I knew that I was working with. She was assaulted by an uncle, and so was her sister, but they were told never to talk about it. And apparently he had done this to his other nieces and nephews, but the family kept it, oh, hush, 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 don't say anything. So, you know, it's kind of like this runs a lot deeper in society than we know, and people don't want to talk about it. You know, like, they're not going to talk about good old Uncle Joe, you know, like, oh, he never did anything like that. Oh, don't cause family problems. Meanwhile, these people have been all their life carrying this burden, but we don't want to cause a problem for, you know, Uncle Joe. But they've had challenges in their whole life, in their adult life, and even relating to their children because of what happened to them when they were children. So it's not something that's really simple and giving answers. It goes within our, what have we allowed to happen? And I think it was always considered the shame of the victim. You know, the perpetrator was never the one to be ashamed. It was always the victim that needed to be ashamed. So, yeah, there's no easy answer to this.
This goes back to what we were talking about the other day about being givers and receivers, because we're so busy being quiet and being nice and don't want to cause problems and tiptoeing around motherfuckers that need to get knocked out or put in jail. And exactly. So we are being nice to people who don't even fucking deserve it. And we're going out of our way to, I don't even know, what do you call that? Like, oh, don't mess with him, or you know how he is, or you know.
Yeah, and so somehow that makes it okay for people to do that sort of thing. And you know, like I said, if one person, you know, and they've actually charged one person for it, it's not the first time that's happened, right? And especially when you've got young victims, like it's a lot deeper than we know. And I think within families and stuff, it's really hidden.
And then there's this thing called plausible deniability where people can kind of turn a blind eye and act like they don't know. And there's people, they fucking know. You know, kids wet in the bed or acting out or acting strange, or somebody is missing in the middle of the night and you don't know where they're going at. And you like, you know, I saw this one crime show where the lady, her kids, the man was like, oh, you go to bed and I'll just fix them some chocolate milk. And you go, you gotta really open your brain. You know when something is not right. So Tina, I don't know if you wanted to come on, if you had anything to say.
I've been listening to all you guys and it's been making me cry a lot. I so many things that you guys have said has happened in my lifetime, and I'm sorry. I'm like,
Don't be sorry. I'm sorry.
I can't talk.
I honestly didn't know this is where it was gonna go until it was just like, what?
I know. I didn't know it would trigger me. I was like, all these memories started popping up, and and it's always like my parents weren't there, you know, teachers, you know, look the other direction, and all these kind of things would even happen at school and or even in the neighborhood. You know, you didn't, because back then, you know, parents didn't really pay attention to us. So it was like we'd come home when the street light came on, and and then you just kind of, you know, kept it like a secret. And then I was like in Catholic school or Catholic, and a lot of stuff happened there. And the church, they didn't care. It's almost felt like they promoted it. And so there's so many things that happened. I just kind of hid from everybody, you know, because I was too ashamed. But yeah, listening to all your guys' stories, a lot of this went on, and it's pretty sad that, you know, it's even worse today, you know. And raising my boys, I kind of raised them in a bubble because I don't want them to ever be molested or, you know, touched. And they did. They basically never even left the house. And but me, I've had plenty of experiences where I've been molested and I've been raped many times. And I think that's probably why, you know, I've told a couple of you I gained a lot of weight. I think it was like my protection, so no men wouldn't want me, you know. So yeah, but this is a good talk. This is much needed. I think there's a lot of people that need talks like this. But that's all I got to say.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for even saying anything at all. And then
It's hard. It's a hard subject to talk about because we always, you know, I'm fortunate I never did, but I have certainly been around a lot of people who have, and the victim is embarrassed, and yet they weren't the cause of it. And yet our society has put it to the point where the victim is the one who is the guilty party. It's not right. And the victims, you know, and we can even just go into our legal system. Anybody who's been charged, who's being put on trial, but the victim. Well, it must have been something you did. It was something you wore. It was something, the way you act. Excuse me, how does a 12-year-old act that it could be their fault? Or a 10-year-old or whatever. Or a 16-year-old, you know, like it's not right.
You see
And they want to relax the laws even more.
Legal system that when these people get convicted, how long are they actually off the street and how long are they gone for?
Yeah.
You know, a few years?
Maybe 2 years. Because he mostly he is, you know, a pillar in society.
So Terry Priest is checking in because she wanted the link, because she wanted to talk. And yeah. a lot of we don't, we're raised to be seen and not heard and quiet and share and then you're kind of like wondering why you're unhealed about certain stuff, because this part, like we're saying, is probably like triggering some memories for people. But I know for me, it's been like a long journey of kind of doing things to keep yourself safe, because sometimes even as you get older as a woman, you give up your rights and you have sex because it's easier to do that than to get punched in the face. For example, I had a friend named Barbara. She's beautiful. I love her. And she had a guy friend that would come over. And I was like, oh, he's cute. I might think you cute, but that's a big difference between, let's have sex and a person looks cute. And so she must have told him, and he came upstairs because we all lived in the same house, and he came into my room and he flipped my light off. And then I flipped it back on and he flipped my light off. And this guy, he was like, I just remember him being like really big. And then it was like, are you gonna get jacked up today? Or are you just gonna, give him his 2 minutes so he can get this over with? And then you kind of get this attitude of having sex with people to get it over with, rather than because it's your choice. So by the time, after years of these kind of things happening, my school coach in college did this to me. I had a crush on him. I did not want to have sex with him. He drove me home one day. But he kept driving, took me to his house. And you're kind of just like playing along, like, because what do? Jump out of the car onto the streets and act crazy? Or you just go and you be quiet? Nowadays, you're going to probably have a hard time getting me to go places I don't want to go, because I'm pretty good at screaming in your face and like, get the fuck out of here! If I have to act like a complete lunatic, I would do that. No worries. But, you just kind of lay there and you let the person do what they did. So after years of healing, I really got to the point where I would tell other women, do what you want to do. And if you have sex, you only have sex when it's your choice to have sex. And when I think of pro-choice, that's the choice that I'm thinking people need to be making is, did you want to have sex in the first place? Not wait until it's time to have an abortion, have a choice, but, But Terry, did you want to talk?
No, I'm just, no, I didn't really have anything else to add to it.
Anybody who needs to check out, they can check out, okay?
Yeah.
I will not.
I just wanted to say, like there were a couple of movies that really were just, I found that they were always really inappropriate. And that was, there was the movie The Summer of 42. I don't know whether any of y'all saw that one, but that was probably from the 70s. And it was about an older woman whose husband was in the war. And so she had an affair with a teenage boy that they came around and were helping her with the house. And so the movie was all about this affair that she was having with this young man. And that was sort of like that was the big movie. And then the other one that I really found quite offensive was the one with Brooke Shields. What was it? The Blue Lagoon, right? They were 14-year-old kids stranded on an island together. Well, and they were wearing these, and it was like, this was the movie that the kids were supposed to watch. It was so inappropriate. And it's like, so we're seeing this put out into the mainstream as this was okay.
And were they brothers and sisters? They were brothers.
Yeah,
were they
yeah,
brother and
I think so.
I think so. Or
so we're watching brother and sister grow up together and have sex with each other.
Stranded, yep. I mean,
because that makes it better because they're stranded. So we're watching brothers and sisters having sex with each other. Then there's Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
And then there's that new one with that that guy and J-Lo and that student. I don't know. That was what I think that was about 4 years ago. I forget the name of it.
Oh yeah.
He was the teacher. And he was the new kid in the school, supposedly.
There's a few movies out like that.
Yes, and it's just.
When I think American, what was it, American Pie? But so this is what they're putting out. And so you don't feel comfortable with this, but yet they're putting it out to mainstream saying like, it's okay. Like it just
Make it a comedy,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Oh,
So, you know,
yeah, I remember that one. The Election.
The Election, is that what it's called?
There's one called The Election with Matthew Broderick and Reese Witherspoon. Matthew Broderick's neighbor was in love with Reese Witherspoon and they had sex. I remember watching that. Black Male Worthy Affair on Scandal. Kate Blanchett. Oh, yes. Kate Blanchett. It was British and the boy was 15. Notes on a Scandal with Judi Dench. I knew Judi Dench was in it. And then there was The Wonder, Destructive Spiral.
The Boy Next Door.
Rush. Oh, The Boy Next Door. Okay.
2000.
And then let's get to a nice show called Full House.
oh God.
But we're not going to go behind the scenes and unpack behind the scenes of Full House. But I remember there's Full House and then there's Growing Pains and then there's Growing Pains. There's the other one where the dad was a psychiatrist. And then, you know, you think of the song, I Think We're Alone Now. And so there's all these shows where it's like making you tingle as a preteen. Like, why are we having all this tingling in all these TV shows and these movies? And this is so funny because didn't we just get to talking about this like, what was that, yesterday? Did we know we were going to talk about this today? No, we didn't know we were going to do this today.
No.
We just, but it was like we're prepared already, weren't we?
Yep.
This is so...
But it's the thing is everything is connected.
Everything is.
When you start to dive into it, it just starts to branch in there to everything.
But I think, ooh, did Terry Priest pop out? Terry Priest.
She's on the top here
Okay.
with her hand up.
Open your mic.
I'm here.
Okay.
Hey,
It was
Tara.
like holding your breath. I could feel it.
I didn't want to interrupt. You guys were on a roll, so I just raised my hand to wait for my turn.
Well, it's your turn. Go ahead, sister.
I just want, I was talking in the chat and I was saying a little bit about what I went through as a child. At the time when I said something to Link, you guys were talking about people getting molested and kids getting molested and everything like that. And when I was 9 years old, my dad had married somebody else. My stepsister was just 2 weeks older than me. And for some time, he was molesting her in front of me. And I went through that. He would come in and say, well, I'm going to tell you guys a story and shut off all the lights. And he would be, I won't go there anyway, sorry. He would be doing stuff. And I would pretend that I couldn't see because I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was just a little girl. He did this to her until she was 16 years old. And because of all the abortions, she ended up being sexually active at an extremely young age and had several abortions and has never been able to have children since of her own. I went through when she finally told when she was 16, when we were 16. And for years and years and years, I carried so much guilt because I wasn't the one that told and that I kept it a secret because I didn't know what to do. And I just want everybody out there to know you can heal from this. You can absolutely heal. Yes, is it going to sting? It's always going to be there for the rest of your life. It's always going to be back there. When somebody says something about it, there's going to be a bit of a trigger. But you don't have to sit there bawling about it and feeling guilty about it and feeling horrible about it for the rest of your life. You can heal. I have healed. I have healed from it. Do I like what happened? Have I forgiven him for what he's done? I don't know if I can, actually. I don't know if I can. But what's done is done, and I've had to learn how to move on. And I've spent a lot of time going back and healing all of that. And I spent a lot of time as a puddle of goo on the floor, bawling my eyes out in pain over it. But I finally got to the point where I can say, you know what? I was just a little girl. I was just a little girl. What was I supposed to do at that point? Especially because it was back in the 60s and the early 70s. And that was something, you know, and Terry, you talked about this earlier. This is something you did not talk about back then.
Mhm.
You swept that shit underneath the rug and nobody ever talked about it. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so but you can heal from it. You can. I promise you, you can heal from it. I promise you. I just want to give everybody such a big hug. Anybody who's gone through something like that, you know, been abused in any kind of way like that, I just want to give you all a big hug and tell you, you know what? It's okay. You can heal. And it's okay. It wasn't your fault. Now I'm going to cry because it's not your fault. I promise you, it's not your fault. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Don't be sorry.
I didn't mean to
It's
cry.
awesome advice. Such good advice. Thank you very much,
Do
Terry.
you know that the crying is so important because it's a release of that energy that's been held within you. So
Exactly.
crying is what is the appropriate thing for you to do because it's no longer suppressing that. You're letting it out.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I just, you know, I know there's so many other, not only women, you know, there's men out there that this kind of thing has happened to them too.
Yeah.
And, but there is a way to heal and you can heal. And I just want everybody to know that you can heal. I'm just going to keep repeating that.
And that goes, why they, part of why men have or had a hard time to express themselves, to allow that flow of emotion, right? Why do you think they capped us off at the knees so we couldn't express? And
Exactly.
then it's just the domino effect because okay, they can't express themselves. Now what is that pent up blockage going to create, right? It's gonna explode somewhere else. It's just a bad recipe. It's a recipe for disaster, right?
Exactly. Exactly. It comes out in so many different ways,
Yeah.
and none of it is good.
No.
You have to address it. You have to go through it. You have to go back and look at it for what it really was, and and forgive yourself because you were just a child and you didn't have control of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be able to go back and say, you know what? It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. It was something that happened to me, and I can get past this, and I
Take your
can
power
break
back.
that change. Yes, I
Yep.
can break that chain. And when I had my son, I broke the abuse chain with my son. And he's an amazing man. He's been with the same girl since he was 50, his very first girlfriend at 15 years old. They've been together. They're 32 now, and they're married, and they love each other deeply. And he is a good man to her. He treats her like a queen. And I taught my son how to be a good man because I broke that chain.
Terry, did your mother ever find out what was going on?
Oh, yeah, she blamed me for not telling.
Oh, Well,
Me and my mom had a very
knowing your
difficult.
story, having, in continuation of your story, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
But you know
yeah.
what?
We had a
She should have,
difficult
she should have
relationship.
realized it too. And she's
Well,
just
she was,
denying, right?
well, yeah, she was not right in the head. She did a lot of other things too. So we won't go into that now, but
No.
so yeah, that was just the way she was. So, but that's okay too. You know what?
Lots of
That's okay
ingredients in the
too.
recipe.
I'm sorry.
There's a lot of ingredients in in a recipe, right?
Yes, there is.
Did just a quick question though, did she stay with him after she found out?
Oh, no, no, they had already been divorced.
Okay.
I was about 6 or 7 when they got divorced, and he had gotten remarried, and this was my stepsister
Okay.
that he did this to.
Okay.
But you can heal. That was my point. That was just what I wanted everybody to know, that you don't have to carry it with you for the rest of your life. You don't have to stay broken the rest of your life. I'll repeat it 1,000 times. You can heal,
Mm.
and it's okay. And that was all I wanted to say.
Thank
Well,
you
I
for sharing.
appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
And just like you're saying, there's going to be a point where you can, if you get it out, instead of trying to hold it in and you get it out, you will get to a point where you can say it, where you might get a little bit emotional, or you might get to the point where you are still emotional. That lady who did those things to me was a teenager. I've since seen her several times. Like, I went through my life, and maybe in my 20s, I've seen her and spoken to her again in my 40s. And I just kind of look at her wondering, from my understanding, because she was one of the 2 youngest siblings, the siblings before her also did this to other people. So I'm sure they also did this to her. And, when you see people, I've never made it a point to say, hey, do you remember when you did this? Like, I've completely let that go. Before I saw her again, I've been through so many different steps to like completely let that go, that I never even brought it up to her. But I would just wonder, would she ever even talk about it? Would she ever admit it? Because at this point, she's so swollen up, and she has lupus, and she has like problems with her kids. And I'm just thinking that's probably what's eating her up, why she's swelling up, and why her body is attacking itself. And so if you get this out of your system, then your body can stop attacking you, because it's going to be hurting you in your heart.
See, my dad never admitted what he did. To this day, my dad is still alive.
Mhm.
So he's never admitted what he's done. He's never apologized for it. He's never done anything about it. And he lives an awesome life.
Or what appears to be an awesome life?
I'm sorry?
Is it what appears to be an awesome life, or is it an awesome life? Like,
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I don't know. I don't know what he feels when he lays down and go to sleep. I know my dad has never felt any guilt about anything he's ever done.
that's a personality type we're dealing with too.
Yeah, he's never apologized for anything he's ever done wrong or anything like that. And he's still that way. He's going on 80. He's still that way. He will never apologize for anything. So, but that's okay too. That's him.
Yeah, that's not a you problem. That's a him problem.
Exactly. Exactly. That has it's it's been years and years since I've spoken to him. I did speak with him a couple times, about 2 years ago. He wanted to come by and visit. I was extremely uncomfortable with that because we haven't spoken in years, but I did it. And I'm still uncomfortable with it to this day, but hey, it is what it is. And it's been about 1.5 years since we've spoken, but hey, that's who my dad is. And I accepted that when I was young. That's the way he's always been. But like you said, that's his deal. And I don't have to have a part of that.
Mm.
No. Mm.
Well,
You cut whatever is not vibing for your way you want to perceive and way you want to live and feel, right? It's like that your vibe attracts your tribe and vice versa, right? No matter, if it's a family member, friends, right? We always are trying to navigate to what vibes with our heart, right?
Exactly. And that's why I have my family on all of our groups now.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are my amazing family, and I love you all. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the Galactic Chicks, Consciousness War, all of the groups here, because you guys are my family. And I love you all very much.
We love you too.
We love you too, Terry.
Thank you. Okay, you guys go ahead. I'm going to shut up now.
well, we love you too. We appreciate you, and it just makes it more powerful. And you, the other day, was like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna be nervous. Now you busting in like, let me in. Let me in the door. I'm about to come. I got something to say. And so look at you, like, golly. You done grown in 3 days, 4 days. Now you a professional. You just busted up in here. Did you even imagine that?
It was either that or go in the chat. That wasn't going to come out well in the chat. So,
but I mean, like, we're talking about our lives and growing and being more brave. That's powerful. Tina said, I can't do this. And now this is her 3rd time being able to come and talk. And I think it's really amazing and it's great. And so even though we're talking about something painful, we're getting it all out and we're growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, and then you guys were talking about how they're pushing it now and trying to make it look normal.
They've always made it look normal. I'm gonna tell you something. I was watching a show that I loved when I was a kid, and it was called Living in the Land of the Lost.
Oh, yes.
Did I tell y'all about that?
With the slee stack.
So in the Land of the Lost, and that's when the uncle takes the niece and the nephew, and then the boat goes down the river and they go and end up in the center of the earth. And when they get where they're going, it ends up back in dinosaur times, and they got the little furry guy named Chaka. And I was like, Chaka, I just love Chaka. So when I got a chance to see one of the episodes, I watched one called The Flying Dutchman. And the Flying Dutchman, that's the pirate ship or whatever. And so, of course, they were all enamored with him because he had a pirate ship and he was a pirate. And at some point, the little girl was on his boat right before he was about to leave. And he was like, wouldn't you like to stay with me? When she played that part, she was 12 years old. So I assume on the show, she was 12 years old, if not playing like a 10-year-old. And she said, yeah. And he got her a little glass of something and mixed it up and gave it to her. And he was like, aren't you tired? And he walked her to a bed and put her to sleep. Then at some point, a little later, he's outside, and the uncle and the uncle and the little brother, they're like, well, where is she? Because they know he's about to leave. But he couldn't hold on to the fact that, he felt guilty because he tried to kidnap her. And he just looked at them and said, well, she's in the room and she's sleeping. And he literally apologized. Why was he apologizing? Because he knew he was about to kidnap this girl, a grown pirate man was about to take this like 12-year-old girl. And there's movies that we've seen that haven't said it, but they said it. You know what I'm saying? They kind of insinuate. Because Juno was another one. Juno, where the girl, she was pregnant for her teenage boyfriend. And Jennifer, I forget what her name is, Garner, was with some guy, I forget who he is, and they were trying to adopt the baby. So Juno started coming over there and spending time, and the Jennifer was not ever home, and she was starting to spend more time with the man. And I was very pissed off because I was like, this was very suggestive of him actually start kind of dating, you know what I mean? Like it's that kind of dating a 15-year-old pregnant girl. Nothing happens, but it was very suggestive of he was crushing on a 15-year-old pregnant girl. And I said something, and somebody I was dating at the time, they were like, you always thinking something. And I'm like, because it's true. That's weird for a 15-year-old pregnant girl to be spending time with a grown-ass man. He needs to be spending time with his wife because him and his wife were having problems. But, you know, and that's kind of how the attitude that people have is like, oh, you always thinking something. No, you need to think about what's normal. Somebody asking your teenage daughter or even your 10-year-old to come and they're bouncing them on their knee. Yeah, that's a little bit fucking weird. We've grown up to think that it's normal to sit on your uncle's lap. No, you don't need to sit on your uncle's lap because some stuff be going on. Like my grandma, she was to the point where even with my brothers, we weren't really allowed to be in their room. We weren't supposed to be in their room. As far as my experience, and I can't speak for everybody in my family's experience because I only am speaking for my story and I want to be firm on that. There's, you know, whatever. But during the times that I was there to visit, I know I wasn't allowed to like fall asleep in their room. But because why? They are grown folks with porn magazines and special lotions and rubs and they videos and all in their drawer. So me, 8, 9, or 10, I don't need to fall asleep in anyone's bed. You understand? So I think sometimes I think we get a little bit dense on how the body works. And sometimes the body works involuntarily, and then the mind follows. So, or however which way that goes, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes the body follows the mind, sometimes the mind follows the body. So we just have to be mindful and proper and safe. So I think we let the people know, Terry. I don't know if you, because I feel like you need to go on up and just take us out. I'm like, you need to get your little bells or something. I don't know. I don't know, because I'm like, I didn't know we were gonna have a come to Jesus hallelujah moment at the end. Because when we did the video, we talked about some stuff, but it was more, you know, and the funny thing was the last thing that we were talking about was Woody Allen. And Woody Allen in real life abuses Mia Farrow. Ronan Farrow exposes that.
Yeah.
Her brother, and he exposes it during an award show. And he also exposes Harvey Weinstein. So Ronan Farrow, Mia Farrow's the mom. I forget what the sister's name is, but after he takes the time to destroy that whole family, he and Mia adopted a little Asian girl. And once that little Asian girl reaches a certain age, he marries her. So that's Woody Allen, one of the most popular people. And then Diane Keaton, actually, I got gossip, y'all, because Diane Keaton and another guy, they both are like, I'm on his side. And I'm like, you know, Diane Keaton, you're obviously a loser. That was the lady from Looking for Mr. Goodbar. You remember that?
Yeah.
I can only imagine what they did to her, because I look at what they did to her in the movie. I can only imagine, because sometimes you think people doing the sex scenes are just faking it. And plenty of actresses have complained that they've been penetrated during making a movie.
Oh,
So do not think that all the time that the movie is just a movie. People have been penetrated during movies, and that's why a lot of people have a lot of their little, like they don't like this actor and they don't like this actress. And, that things are going on that we don't really understand around us sometimes. And, let's not be lightheaded about it. But last words. Jonathan, any last words? I don't know if you want.
Well, it's whatever, what weighs on you. It's always, you want to release that too. And at the same time, you can pull your energy back from experiences with intention and finding a modality or a way to just bring your energy back, and it doesn't necessarily has to be focused on a specific event, but as you bring back your power from just your childhood, let's say, you get to a time in your current moment that you'll be able to process all those traumas or those experiences, right? That literally before you brought your power back would be, a mountain size, and that mountain would slap us across the face, sort of thing. I mean, and so it's just important just to bring your power back to you and send that energy that was projected to you by whoever it was, send that back, right? Own your power because it's for you. It's only for you. And express yourself the way you want to be.
Before I get Terry's last words, my sister Kiki is in the chat. Okay, so there's Dom. I'm gonna say hi to Dom. Terry, thank you so much. Nikki, thank you so much. Dom, I would be scared to let you in this group right now because it seemed like you would rip it wide open. Shanae's in the chat. Nikki, Shanae, Terry. But Kiki just brought up one that never has been credited. Black Snake Moan. Everybody feels sorry for Christina Ricci, but nobody thinks about the fact that the little black boy that saw her in the barn got grabbed, snatched, and molested. And when Samuel Jackson comes back, he says, "What are you doing, boy?" And he rebukes the boy, but not thinking this is like a 13-year-old boy that has been attacked by a lady who I know by now has crabs and gonorrhea because she was having sex with everybody. This lady was and she had whatever kind of illness, disease, psychotrauma, whatever, but nobody ever thinks about, like we've started to think that it was so normal that's one that I've seen it before, maybe twice, and you just kind of don't even think about, oh, the little boy just got molested. What's wrong with Christina Ricci? You know what I mean? Did you ever see that one, Terry?
What movie was it called?
Black Snake Moan.
No.
No, I don't think I did.
Oh my God, it's Christina Ricci, and she has this burning, itching where I guess it's like a response to, she has some type of anxiety that triggers her to be hypersexual. And she has a boyfriend that loves her, but they're like, they're struggling probably with drugs and alcohol, but he's leaving to go to the military. And because of that, because she already has this kind of reputation as being kind of trembly, you take it that she's been sexually abused before and that people see her as garbage. So they will, more than one person will basically get together and assault her and pass her around. And so she gets herself into, why do you say that? We say get ourselves into a situation. She ends up in situations where, she was actually I don't know if it was just one guy or not, but they were in a truck and they actually left her in a field and he found her outside, on the side of the road, and he cleaned her up and she came to, but she just is so trying to attempt to have sex with him. He actually chains her. I guess it was supposed to be as if she had demonic possession in a way, you know what I mean? He has her chained and he's trying to teach her how to respect herself. It was actually somewhat weird, outlandish. And I think more people were worried about him putting a chain on her than the other things that were going on. And it's like he's trying to put all this energy into her to save her, to teach her how to go outside and be normal. But in the meantime, you know, she's constantly, you know, clawing at you, trying to have sex with you. But then a little boy comes by who normally does some work around the house, and Samuel Jackson is gone. And she literally grabs him because he goes into the barn, and she grabs him and has sex with him. And then he's the one who gets in trouble for it.
Wow.
So,
Well, you touched on something there with the demonic possession, because we know, you know, like how many of these people who are the perpetrators have been, have got energies of that perverted, you know, demonic sexual energies. You know, I think we talked about it. And so what do they do is when they, you know, have a sexually assault a young person, they're passing that energy on. They become, you know, the people become receptive of the energy that's being passed on. So there's more to all of this energetically than we realize. You know, it's those entities are attaching themselves.
Those energetic thought forms that are put into the porn, the Hollywood
Exactly.
movies,
because I could totally see it as it's her double-minded. She's, you know, whatever kind of flows through her, these things are just
say
passing through her.
wounded
She
healer.
has no control over who she is. And so it
No.
just reminds me of Legion, because you don't know what is all inside, and you have absolutely no way to predict what is going to happen or how she's going to respond. And yeah, it really was double-minded, if not, you know, probably what you would say, somewhat way more than double-minded. She just really showed signs of demonic possession. You know, nice movie to say, oh, that you could take your time to try to save someone, but I mean, she needed probably, you know,
exorcism.
An exorcism is what she needed.
Exorcism. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, she need. Yeah. So don't be fooled. Some of these people need an exorcism.
Yeah.
And you can tell too when you're around people and they're hypersexual and they're always like licking their mouth or, you know, like rubbing their, or they, you know, you can see the fidgetiness in certain people, you know, where they're always double talk. Oh, I'm just kidding, you know. And so
yeah, they push the envelope a little bit more and a little bit more, and you know what's going to be accepted.
Body language.
Body language, yeah.
Have you ever seen people like that? They constantly, they're doing very sexual things, and then they wonder like, why is the person looking at me, or why did he say that to me? And it's like, yeah, because you just licked your lip and you stuck the tongue out and you did this and did that, and then you rubbed on your leg and you just kept rubbing on your thigh, and you
do the LL Cool J.
It was worse than that. I don't want to try to tease you on camera, you know, so I didn't want to be like, I don't want to do
this.
I don't want to do it. I didn't even want to imitate that. I didn't want to imitate it, but I did have a friend, and she would constantly be poking her tongue out and, you know, doing stuff. And yeah, she had some issues. She might not have been a molester, but she definitely had some sexual issues. So anyway, I think we covered it all. I think we talked to a lot of people, and I think we helped. And I think some people had to leave because they just were probably like a little bit overwhelming. But I just know that the more you talk about it, or the more to the proper person, and go, you know, get healing and find you some type of therapy, or reach out to myself, Terry, Jonathan, if you need help. You know, we can help you find ways. And
I just want to say, I mean, I have worked with people who've been assaulted, right? And it's really interesting because they've been in therapy for years, and sometimes they just need that spiritual healing, right? They can find the answers from a psychological standpoint, but sometimes they need that healing from that spiritual, emotional level.
Right.
That's not, they're
exactly
not
it.
going to find from the mental level, from sitting in an
Right,
office
that's
and
what
talking
they
about
do.
it.
Yeah, about Samuel Jackson, like whatever you think he was doing, she needed an exorcism. So some kind words, a pat on the back in the shower was not going to do it.
Yeah.
Even sitting there just talking to somebody wasn't going to do it. There needs to be some
You
spiritual
think about
healing and some entity removals. Just having sex, period, some people need. You don't have to be abused to need
right.
entity attachments removed.
You think about the layers of entities that would piggyback, right? You got that one gate, that one. Then you add in, drinking. You add in this. You add in all this other addictions, other things that bring your vibration down, and so therefore it grows and grows and grows. And so literally finding that spiritual connection and going that path, opposed to going directly into these situations and then having people re-say everything of what was happening. I mean, you think about how depression and anxiety works is like when you're worrying about the future, and when you're trying to control what happened in the past and you don't want it to happen right now, and then you stress on both sides of that, and that creates this anxiety and the depression. So when they're getting people to do these reencountments of what has happened, it's creating this chaos, this experience again in this present moment from the past, right?
It's anchoring it in.
Right. And so, people are gonna spiral, like not be comfortable a couple days, 3 days, 4 days after. They're reeling still, So it's a very positive reinforcement is to go and connect with your spirit and see and have an experience that way, right?
I'll tell you, I had an experience with someone who had been seeing somebody for like all of her adult life. And I did a session with her, and I just took her into a meditation where she connected with her inner child, and she was actually able to bring that inner child back, bring it forward. And she said afterwards, she said, I've been going to therapy for, I don't know, 20 years. And she said, the therapist was never able to help me to find that person. So to find that little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, we did it just because we approached it in a different way.
Yeah. And exactly that, right? It's just that change of pace really, it opens the mind, body, spirit, right? I had the same. It's like with using the sound, set the intentions to bring your energy back, pull your energy back, and they just get that emotional release, right? And and then you combine a lot of those tools of connecting with the sound, the meditation, it really brings that power back, right?
Yeah.
And there's numerous times like people like, I never ever had that experience before and felt so good after having this in this meditation, this sound, this so it's allowing, it's just holding that space. It's such a beautiful moment,
Yeah. And you can get to the point where you can even talk about it to help others and not relive it.
Right.
You can deal with it on a level where it's not causing you pain and tears. So
yeah.
Unless you all have any more.
No,
I think we did a healing today. I think we did a healing today. So
we did.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
everybody out there, I just want to thank you so much. If you want to talk more, just reach out, reach out. And there's support here, there's love here. So, and be safe. And it's okay to cry. It's okay to scream. It's okay to write it all out on a piece of paper and set it on fire. It's okay to release it. It's okay to do everything except blame yourself. That's the part that's not, because it is not your fault.
Or go hurt somebody. I mean, yeah. That too.